And we are streaming, I think. Good morning, guys. We're going to be starting soon, if you can hear me. And we're going to be talking about interracial, as well as suicide and the gays, gay pride stuff. It's some bad things happening. I think the interracial is definitely not as bad as the gay stuff or the suicide, obviously. But it's very interesting stuff going on. We're streaming, I think.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Again, good morning, everybody. We're talking about interracial dating and marriage, as well as suicide, been happening a lot, and the gays, because it's Gay Pride Month, unfortunately. Hope you like it.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Good morning, everybody. You can call in at 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773. And I wanted to talk about this interracial dating and marriage thing that came up because it's been very interesting this week on Jesse's church, which you can check out by going to rebuildingtheman.com/church, as well as on Jesse's show, the Jesse Lee Peterson Show. His biblical question of the week was, do you believe in interracial dating and marriage? And his purpose for it was he wants you to check yourself out and know what you know. And he brought up something super interesting to me yesterday as I was, we were editing together the calls throughout the week on the biblical question and the responses from people in Super Chat like KT and Maria over in Los Angeles somewhere and others. And let me turn this down. So it's so interesting that there were a lot of people who were like, not for me, but it's okay. Or some people were like, yeah, I believe in it because we're all one race, the human race. There is no such thing as interracial dating and marriage. And then there's others who are like, well, they beat around the bush, really. They say that there are problems with, I'm for it, but there are problems that come with it, such as with the kids particularly. And then I've seen some comments in the comment section on the YouTube channel where people are saying that the divorce rate among interracial couples, and I have not verified this, by the way, is higher than same-race couples. And I think one person clarified that what throws it out of balance in particular is when white women marry black men, that has a higher divorce rate, whereas white men marrying black women has a very low divorce rate. So it's all very interesting. And I'll give you what I feel about it too. And then this suicide stuff is on the rise like crazy. And it's been highlighted. The people in the media, oh, it's so ridiculous. Like they're like suicide prevention hotline, and the calls to the hotline has been through the roof, but partly because the media shares that number to the hotline because they're sharing a story about suicide. And it just becomes kind of a trendy topic because it's media fed. And it's a very, it's kind of a self-inflicted topic in it, not just in terms of the rise of suicide among the suicider people themselves, the people who are committing suicide themselves, but also among it seems like our misery and stuff like that. Well, not me, I'm not miserable. But the misery of people is self-inflicted. Like the media, and I've heard people talk about this, the media loves and romanticizes darkness. Tragic figures they love. And so they kind of create these people that kill themselves or get themselves killed at an early age and make them out into be romantic heroes. And there's something in like human nature, like fallen human nature, that really is attracted to that, to like not being happy and whole. It's weird. And then lastly, it's Gay Pride Month. The gays are out this weekend up, I presume, I haven't been up there, in West Hollywood. And the whole corporate world is celebrating it. You go out into to LA, you see it above breweries and things like that. The gay flag, the rainbow flag. It's really disgusting that they're like, it's a shame that they're validating wrong. It's a total disservice to everybody. But they want to do it. They think that it's right. Like you hear people say, Satan came as the angel of light. He pretends to be good, and it's like an imitation of goodness to justify and validate the gays. It's kind of like the women calling themselves powerful women. It's the gays calling themselves proud. So it's a mess. But first, let's talk about this this interracial marriage thing. It was so interesting to me listening to people's responses this week, because as I was listening to them, like some of them were justifying it by saying that if you love somebody, it doesn't matter. And that sounds so much like and I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it sounds a lot like the way that they justify same-sex marriage. Obviously, by far, it's not even close to the same thing, but it just reminds me of that, which is interesting. Jesse last week at church, rebuildingtheman.com/church, or the YouTube channel, Bond Rebuilding the Man. At church last week, he's like, I'm scared to ask James what he thinks. I'm afraid what he might say. He's joking, of course, but in years past, before Joel was here, Andre was the engineer, and Jesse asked Andre and me if we support interracial marriage, and we both, although we're young guys, and so for that reason maybe we should, we were both like, no. And like I was kind of exaggerating my no, because I'll tell you why later, but Andre for sure, because Andre is Armenian, and Armenians are very much against it. So Andre is adamantly against interracial dating and marriage. For some reason, Armenians, and I know this from like my Mexican friends who used to go to bars and clubs and things, and they would be attracted to the Armenian women, but they hated the Armenian men because the Armenian men did not take kindly to them hitting on their women, basically. And the Armenians have a history of being very Christian and very traditional, although nowadays they don't seem particularly Christian in the sense of like real Christianity, but they still have that culture. And Andre, it's funny because Andre himself is kind of like a mixed guy, like because the Armenians got taken over by the Turks at one point. The Turks tried to genocide them over 100 years ago, I believe, and there was some mixing among the Arabs with the Armenians, who I guess the Armenians kind of were more white. They're like, Armenia is like Europe, Asia, and Africa area. Well, closer, I think technically it's in the continent of Asia, but it's west of India. And so it's like Eurasia area. But anyways, like they're right by Turkey and all that stuff. And so like Andre, he looks like he's a mixture of basically like that European and Arab. Jesse called him Bin Laden's son, but he also called him Little Jesus. And then his wife is much more white. Has like a sandy blonde hair and all that. So it's funny because he's like a product of the mixing, and yet they're against the mixing. And I will get to your calls soon, but I was against it because it just doesn't look right. Now, I know a lot of people who've race mixed, and I guess it's because I know them that I don't think twice about it. I'm not sure. Maybe there are times when it looks fine. But generally, like, I have a couple of pictures of some famous people, white guys who got with black women, for example. And that's not the only interracial marriage that I'm talking about, but Robert De Niro got with a black woman, and he has a mixed-race daughter. And then George Lucas is with a black woman. And these are, well, George Lucas in particular is like one of the whitest, or lightest skinned anyways, guys, so it looks funny to me. And it's becoming more and more common, partly because of this diversity push. We've had a lot of immigration in the country over the last 60 years or so, and where there has been an anti-whiteness push. And that's the main thing that concerns me, is in this culture of anti-white mentality, and also most, if not all of us, are in like a fallen state. And you don't need to add this extra temptation to divide and be suspicious and take sides within your own family based on race and all that stuff. Because most of us are in a fallen state, and as Jesse says, you're in a fallen state so you can get together and get married and have your kids and all that. And so you're doing that. Meanwhile, you're supposed to be trying to overcome the world, become spiritual, get past all the sex stuff and the shallow stuff. But it seems like people want to skip that part and just pretend they have the ideals already. Pretend that the race doesn't, that race doesn't matter to them, when in reality, there's going to be a temptation and a division and a suspicion, if not in you, in others. And even within your own family, and your kids are going to be like innocent growing up, and then there's going to be like, almost invariably I hear about kids experiencing confusion and stuff like that. So in that sense, I think it's kind of selfish. And it's weird. There's a lot of like perverted stuff, like they call it fetishes. I hate that word, but of different races wanting to get with other races. And that's a weird thing to me. And then there's a common thing that I see of white guys getting with Asian girls. And it's strange because it's kind of a running away from the challenge of dealing with the women. And yes, feminism is a problem among white women, but feminism is as bad a problem among all women, really. And we were talking this week about how white women, most of them actually voted for Trump, and most of the white women voters. Now, about younger women, I don't know. Probably not, but you're kind of jumping out of the frying pan into the fire when you do this stuff. So it's funny because in spite of myself and my opinions, like most of the people I've dated have not been white. So I've dated some whites, but not ones that I wanted to date. I kind of was forced to hang out with them. Anyways, I think that's enough from me about that for now. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, James. It's Ignacio from Mexico again.
Hey, Ignacio, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
You still have a lot of work?
Yeah, I have a lot of work. By the way, thank you guys for responding to my plea for help on the intern requests. I've received a lot of feedback from you guys, and I need to get back to you. Follow up with me. Give me a call, whatever. So don't be dismayed that if I have not responded to you yet, or if I've haven't followed up. But yeah, I have a lot of work.
That's good. That's good. It'll get better soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I want to comment real quick on the interracial and the suicide, just real quick.
Okay.
On the interracial, I have a sister that's she's a half sister. She's Mexican and Filipino, and yeah, she struggles with it a little bit. But then, like what you're saying, it's like it's not really a bad thing, but if both parents are kind of lost, in the world, they
Right.
don't really know, then they get together, and it just adds more to the problem.
Yeah.
And for example, like I see it now because I date a woman that's Japanese, and I'm not really, I don't really see her race.
Right.
Like I really don't care. The only thing I keep telling her is, as long as you believe in what I believe, because this is just going to cause problems in the future, because I've seen it. Because if we're not strong, then, you can't teach the kids to be strong when they might get bullied or something in school.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a little tough, but it's like, people are seeing the race. They should be seeing, the people's values, what they believe in.
Yeah.
And then, leave the race aside. And then, because people that don't know about, God and what is right and what is wrong, they just see what race they are, where they're from, how much money they have, and it's just things of this world, that basically enslave us.
Yeah.
And that's my mini thought on interracial marriage. I didn't get to see the episode on Friday, Jesse's radio show.
Yeah.
To see exactly what he thinks about that.
I don't know if he
And,
answered it, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't remember. I watched like an hour, but I don't remember. But anyways, on the other point with the suicide, this is in reference to Anthony Bourdain, right?
Yeah, in particular, Anthony Bourdain. Yep.
Okay. Well, do you know the comedian Owen Benjamin?
Yes. No.
Yeah,
No. I was thinking Owen Wilson, but yes, I know Owen Benjamin. He's the guy that went on Twitter and he's more kind of conservative, and he got kicked off of Twitter for quote unquote bullying David Hogg. He's like pro-gun, and he said David Hogg like he said something kind of coarse to him, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a video of him ranting about Anthony Bourdain, and he rants a lot with anger, which I think it's hilarious. But he brought up a good point that Anthony Bourdain's basically, and I'm paraphrasing, but he was saying that he's weak. He's weak in his for doing that, because now he left a 13-year-old child, and
I think she's 11.
I agree, and Owen Benjamin, his dad said he used that as a weapon when he was growing up. He said his dad would basically was a weak man, and he would threaten to kill himself. So Owen would go and walk with his dad when he would go out, leave the house, and he would threaten, "I'm going to go jump off in the bridge, and I'm going to jump off in the river." And
Wow.
and Owen, as a kid, he said it ruined his infancy, because he felt like he had to take care of his dad. He's like, I got to jump in there and save him if he tries to kill himself. He's like, I love my dad and everything, but he was weak, and he would use that as a weapon. And every time he wanted something, he would just say, I'm going to go kill myself. So yeah, I agree with him. But I don't want to rant like he did, but yeah, it's a weak way to go out. I think. I mean,
that's so true.
Every situation is different, but
Well, I never knew that about Owen Benjamin. That kind of explains.
Yeah, it's a short video, like 9 minutes.
A lot. Okay. Yeah, we should have him on the show. People have been requesting that we get him on, And,
Oh, definitely. Him and Jesse. Oh, that's going to be one of the greatest.
Yeah.
Yes, please make that happen.
Yeah. Most Mexicans are mixed race, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. Even me, I'm half. Well, I don't know if it's a race, but I'm half Mexican and half Spanish because my grandpa's side.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's, I mean, it's kind of the whole reason that you guys speak Spanish is because, and then the reason that you guys are more generally darker is because of like the Indians down there. I don't know if that's the right word, but
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, and then I think that may have happened. It seems to have happened less in the United States for some reason, and I'm not really sure why. But I guess I mean, in America, I know that there were like more pilgrims or colonizers, the colonies, and they were like already families maybe, and then whereas the I think of the Spanish as more like conquistadors, and so they didn't come with families; they came to like take over, and then there were women there. I guess I don't know. I haven't really gotten the answer to why that is, but that's interesting. I appreciate that, Ignacio.
No problem, man. No problem. Anyways, take care, and I'll continue watching the show and keep up the good work, man.
All right, thank you,
that's
sir.
God saying that you're doing a good job. So keep working hard, and it'll get better.
Cool. All right, take care.
You too. See ya. Bye.
Bye. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Oh, hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
What's up? My name is Espen Ember. I'm calling from Oakland, California.
Hey, did you say your first name is? Did you say your name is Espinosa?
No, Efferson.
Okay.
It's like Jefferson, but
Efferson. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I was listening to Jesse, and he told me to go to your channel or whatever, and I just wanted to listen.
Nice.
And I wanted to call and tell you you're doing a great job. You guys speaking the truth. Don't let anyone tell you y'all not. I usually get harassed at my school for my point of view, and it's kind of good to see people like sharing my kind of same views. You feel me?
Yeah. How old are you? What school are you in?
So I go to Skyline High School. I'm about to graduate. I'm 17.
Nice.
I'm getting ready to leave that house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Appreciate it, Efferson. And are you black or white or what?
I'm black. Well, I'm from Eritrea, it's like East Africa. So I came over here.
Okay.
And I was it's
nice.
Like honest. Straight up, man. I really honestly do appreciate what y'all, what you guys talk about and stuff like that, and about how race relations in this country isn't as well as it could be because of just like lack of morals and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. What do you think about the interracial dating question?
I'm all right with it. I don't got no problem with it. If there's a nice white girl,
yeah,
and, I like her and she likes me, I think it's all right.
All right.
But, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I do prefer like other races besides like African American women in this country.
Yeah.
Because they've been going crazy lately at my school. Maybe that's just because I've only seen the bad of it. I haven't,
what's funny to me is like I've noticed that like when I'm among my friends, like I have a lot of Asian and Hispanic friends. They tend to like more white girls than I do. Like it seems to be that we're more picky about our own race's looks than other races are about our own race's looks.
I don't know, man. White girls are just nicer. It's just like I feel like there's a lot of these black girls are just like angry.
True. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with the spirit in the society, and it's a shame.
And there's just like weird philosophy going on with these African American women that they seem to be like more superior than like they. I don't know if you read The Root, but there's this witch hunt going on for the straight black men that you probably went through since you're like a straight white male. But like we've been getting attacked by these black women, and then they're looking at minorities of African Americans like homosexuals and like transsexuals as kind of like the golden child of our race. So right now we're kind of like being dismissed as
Yeah.
hoteps or
Right.
It's like it's a weird thing that's going on at my school right now, where they're just like glorifying, like, you know, homosexuals and transsexuals as just like, you know, something like good, you know.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong, they should, you know, do what they got to do, but like, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's what's weird to me is the fact that this, some people truly celebrate this stuff. Like even like they celebrate interracial dating and marriage as though that's like a progress and coming along. When it's when if anything it's a greater challenge to somebody's life. I don't see it as inherently right or wrong, but I definitely don't see it as a positive. And then the gays and the transgenders and all that, people are pushing to like I said, validate it. And because I think they know that they're wrong.
Yeah, and I think it's more or less of a thing is that, like, we were told, like, when the gay marriage thing was, like, you know, released and just, like, you know, it was a finished, done deal, right?
Yeah.
That it'd be it, you know? But, like, there's more, it's a lot of thought policing, like what happened with Jesse at Good Morning, what's it called, Good Morning Britain or whatever, he told him he can't think a certain way.
Yeah.
It's like us saying radical homosexuals, you know?
Right.
Than saying what's it called?
The F word. Right.
Yeah. Is way less negative. Like, and we've gotten that bad, like, to that point where we can't even say radical homosexual.
I know.
And we're not even talking about all homosexuals.
Right.
We're talking about the crazy ones.
The ones that are pushing their agenda like on us. Yeah, it's wild.
And man, it's crazy, man. But I hope you guys just keep on pushing the line.
Yeah, you too.
Thing. Man, let's go Trump, you know? That's my boy. All right, we'll see you then.
All right, appreciate it, Efferson. Take care. You know, before I get to my other calls, I wanted to say a couple more things about this same-sex marriage thing. Moses in the Bible, multiple people referenced how Moses married an Ethiopian woman. And if you are a black Hebrew Israelite, that is not interracial marriage because you believe that Moses was a black Hebrew Israelite. And so he married a black Ethiopian woman or Cushite or whatever. But for the rest of us who don't believe that the original Jews or Hebrews were black, that was an interracial marriage. And his sister Miriam and his brother Aaron, apparently they looked at him and they said, this guy married a Cushite woman, and judged him for it. And then they're like, didn't we get called by God to be leaders too, and not just Moses? So they were like jealous of Moses and like judging him for his interracial relationship. And whether it's right or wrong, you don't have a right to judge the people who are doing it. They may be wrong for celebrating it. It's the best thing when it's not the best thing. But one thing that Jesse told me yesterday, he said a lot of the people that are against the interracial marriage, which in my opinion, they're so much more clear in their argument against it, and direct. They don't beat around the bush. They don't say, but it's tough for the kids, but I still support it. They just say, no, it's borrowing trouble, was what Brandon from Houston said, which is a good point. But one thing that Jesse said is that a lot of the people who are against it are judging the people who are for it or judging the people who are doing it. And that's wrong. And it's one thing, it's kind of surprised me because, like, it made me think of how Jesse has said before that a lot of the Christians are pointing out that the gays are wrong, but they're judging them for it. And when you judge them, you totally defeat your power to overcome it. And I noticed that this gay push that's happening, as well as this diversity push, this anti-racism nonsense, is winning because the people who are fighting against it are angry at the people and judging and hating the evil. you can't be, they're being overcome by the evil. And so that's something that you have to realize, that the reason why we're losing against the gay people and against the this false value of diversity, this anti-white push, this push of guilting anybody who's for what's right, is because they're making us mad, and so once they do that, then they have us. They won. You'll notice like there's this push in to get rid of the Bible even. They call it fake news, but it's not fake news. I was listening to American Liberty with Bill Lockwood, and he was interviewing a guy from Liberty Counsel, Matt Staver. And Matt said that in California, they're making a law that you cannot advertise that gays can be changed, which we all know they can, because like they do all the time. Look at Bill de Blasio's wife. She used to be a black lesbian. There's this push that gays can't change. They're saying that, and the Bible has a passage where nobody who is homosexual and all these other things cannot inherit the kingdom of God or whatever. They're all miserable, and that's what some of you were. And this is like a letter from Paul or somebody talking to the Christians, saying you used to be these things, but now you're not, because now you're like owned by Christ. You're slaves of Christ or whatever. And so that is a Bible verse that's indicating that gays can change. And that's now outlawed, or going to be outlawed in California. It passed the House, and it may have already passed. I don't remember, because this may have been an old rerun that I was listening to yesterday. But they're pushing for that in California. And I'm thinking about how Matt Staver is sounding as he's fighting this, and he's fighting in the courts, which I guess you do have to fight in the courts. But more than that, you have to fight on the culture, on the streets, in people's minds and hearts, like they always say, hearts and minds. You have to change hearts and minds. Well, I think that's one good thing that Jesse's doing, is he's pushing out truthful propaganda. He's propagating the truth, and it's catching on with a lot of people. You'll notice, like, there's a lot of Muslims who call into the Jesse's show, and they love him. And there's like even like transgenders who are like, in spite of themselves, they're fans of what Jesse says because he's telling the truth. This guy Sham and others. There was one like conservative transgender, and like all these people that are stuck in their issues, but they still can see the truth a little bit. And so I think that Jesse wins that because he is totally blunt, but also like no hate, as they say. Anyway, let me get to my caller. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, my name's Daryl, and I'm calling from Columbia, South Carolina.
Can you repeat your first name?
It's Daryl.
Okay.
Like the guy's name.
All
but
right.
I'm a girl.
Cool.
Okay, I'm not sure what I want to talk to you about because...
We've covered so much, right?
Yes. So did you want to ask me a question?
What do you think about interracial dating and marriage first?
I think it's fine. I think I agree with it, but I disagree with it also because, for instance, I'm an older woman. I was born in the 60s, and I have a daughter, and she's Joelle's age, and she does not like, we're black, and she does not like dating black guys. And I think she finally dated one black guy, just one, and she regretted it. So she did it because they were friends for a long time, and then she thought she liked him. She did like him because they were friends.
Right.
And I think he wanted to date her, and she did not want to date him, and she ended up doing it, and it didn't last very long, and she regretted it.
Yeah.
And so to put it in Jesse's terms, which I don't always agree a lot with Jesse,
Uh-huh.
some like foundational things and some things that's a long story. But I think that there was a lot of anger, and my daughter, she ran from that.
A lot
Like,
of anger in the black guy that she dated?
Yes. And then I think that was in the beginning stages when I started looking at Jesse, and I would say he's acting like his mother. And then we started talking about, it wasn't funny, it was really sad, because we started talking about his mother, and the mother was remarried, and there was problems. My daughter even witnessed him having these really heated conversations with his mother that she couldn't understand, that were disturbing.
Yeah.
And then he was very emotional about his mother and loving his mother,
right,
and things like that. So, but none of the dating is working out because we want her to be married, but she's not married yet. No children, but but my daughter's complaint about the black guys, which she never wanted to date, is they don't talk. They don't have good conversations, and then there's a lot of disagreement. So when we talk about interracial marriages, then you can think about, because of your show, culture and traditions, things people do in their different cultures. Because when I was growing up, unlike my siblings, I gravitated towards some of the other races just from looking at television. And now we have all this other access to other countries and things like that. So I loved Michael Landon. I cried and didn't want to live when he died.
Michael Landon, for the people listening, Michael Landon was the guy from Highway to Heaven and Little House on the Prairie, right?
Yes, it was House on the Prairie.
Hold on,
DVDs.
I want to.
Yes, go ahead.
I want to know what's your husband like?
My husband, I don't have a husband.
Oh, okay.
I'm divorced.
Oh,
I'm a divorcee.
Yeah.
Yes, but he was black.
Okay.
Yes. My husband was black.
Is he still in your daughter's life?
No, not that much.
Oh.
No.
When you said we want her to be married, who's that? Who's we? Talking about your daughter.
I guess I'm just thinking of myself as we.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would say back off from her because, like.
Oh no, I don't get on her because.
No, I know, but even don't even want her to be married because I'm just telling you that there are worse things than not being married. There's being married, and you know, a lot of women are under pressure nowadays because, like, they delay and delay and delay so long, get their education and all this stuff, and they're 26, 27, 30, and they're feeling pressured. And then they get with somebody, and then they're miserable, and then they leave them, and you know. So it's best to just leave her alone. You know what I mean?
Yes, I hear you. I understand you, and I agree with you. And as a matter of fact, unfortunately, I felt like it was a misfortune. But after listening to your regular show.
Yeah.
It's not so much a misfortune, but my kids never listen to me anyway.
How many kids do you have?
Their own.
Good. How many kids do you have?
A son,
okay.
Yes, a son and a daughter. He's married to an Ethiopian woman.
Okay.
Yes, he's older, and but the daughter, she's not going to listen to me, and I'm not going to be able to pressure her, and I wouldn't do it.
So like
I think I learned that from the son.
What I think that happens too, like. I sense that in some way interracial dating and marriage is kind of a rejection of your parents in that like we're much more shallow than we realize or like to admit. and like very commonly you'll go for something that seems exotic or different and not realize that you're getting the same mess or worse by going away from your race. And I understand that a lot of black men and women are kind of messed up spiritually and mentally and stuff like that, and they have like kind of a long way to go. But everybody in this culture, it seems like, has some severe deficiencies in our maturity. Like the whole culture has become very immature and weak. You see it a lot among the whites. Like white people are so weak. It's really sad and it's really disturbing, and it's almost hopeless, but it's not. So I say just don't worry about your daughter.
No,
but I appreciate
I'm not
you
worried
calling.
about her. I think it's okay. Okay, thank you, James.
Anything else?
Care.
What do you think about this gay pride push?
I don't know. I think no, that's not good.
Yeah.
No, it's not good. No, and so that's overtaking society. Yes, because I worked 2 jobs for a long time, and in the healthcare industry, I would see a lot of things. I don't know. I guess I just...
You're talking about gays coming in with issues?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know what?
Workplace.
Interestingly, with the rise of the gays is the rise of the of suicide. Now, I'm not saying that the gays are the only ones and the transgenders are the only ones committing suicide, but a lot of them are. But and the rise of weakness, like white guys are weak and they're the ones committing the most suicide. There's a lot of like Indians who are like I'm talking about quote unquote Native Americans who are adolescents and they're committing suicide, and it's been on the rise for Bush, Obama, basically.
But I think
thanks Obama
earlier,
and blame Bush.
I think you mentioned earlier that people are hating them or judging them or judging
Right. Yeah.
hating. But I think the times that we're living in, people are trying to make disagreement a lot of times.
They're calling it hate.
Jesse, yes.
Right.
Yes, and Jesse is fortunate that people don't think his disagreement or him being in opposition is hate. But for a lot of people, if you just disagree,
they accuse him of hating,
label
though.
it as hating, and it's not.
Right.
It's not, and that happens in families. So if
That's
you
true.
are talking to your family, if you're disagreeing with your family in love, you're trying to to get them to avoid bad consequences and go the other way, or just give your ideas.
Maybe, but I'll tell you, like some people, like in families, it's touchy, it's dicey because you maybe have a history of being aggressive with your kids, and like now you may just merely be disagreeing. You may just be merely disagreeing, but they're going to take it the way that they took it back then, the way that you were doing it back then.
But even with siblings.
Oh yeah.
People your own age, not your kids.
But I mean, family people generally have resentment towards each other. That's why, like,
so
there's either
even in the workplace, I still work. So disagreeing.
Well, that's because people are weak.
Peers.
Yeah.
So that's considered hate, and sometimes you're shunned.
Right.
And because of it, and so then you are silenced. Yes, because people start to even know what you're going to say. They know, or they gossip.
They think
about
they know
what they think.
Anyway, I gotta go, but I appreciate the call.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye.
She brings up a good point. There's this false idea that disagreement is automatically hate, and it commonly feels like hate, and commonly it actually is hate because we don't know how not to hate, most of us. So there's this false imitation of love that agrees with everything. I mean, in particular, the wrong stuff. And like I said before, Satan comes as the light, so it's like an imitation. And there have been times where like sons will express issues with fathers and mothers, and they'll be like, let's go out and eat together once a week to avoid this resentment cropping up. But that doesn't solve the resentment from cropping up. And it reminds me of this diversity thing. I found a quote about racism, early quote, one of the earliest quotes where racism was allegedly used, that word. It was in like 1902, 1903, according to some black guy writer on NPR. There was this guy who, incidentally, he didn't like the Indians, but he said that racism can only be cured by the races coming together and mixing. And that's not true. First of all, racism isn't even a real issue, a real thing. But you're not going to create love and peace by mixing the races together without dealing with the heart, the issue. I mean, the real issues of the spirit and the heart. People generally hate their own kind first and others as well. And yes, they may show favoritism toward their own kind or something. But, you know, hateful people always play favorites. But you're not gonna create love by mixing people together and getting them to be used to each other. And that's one funny thing between, say, my generation and younger to like older people. Older people are so like amazed, like Obama. It has so much hope for the younger generations because race is just not an issue for them. But in reality, they're anti-racist and the young generations, we're as dumb as anybody. We're as hateful as anybody. We didn't solve anything by mixing the races together and getting us used to interacting with each other. You just created more complication. It didn't create love. It's a false solution. It's one of these liberal ideas where you're going to create love by physically mixing people together, and they're going to be, that's building tolerance. It's not. It's a lie. Anyways, we have a caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, right. Hi. My name is Joe, and I've been listening, and I like to make my views. I do agree with you.
Cool.
Now, I'm black, right? So.
And where are you calling from, Joe?
I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Cool.
Right. Now, the thing I want to, bring, I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
I know the Bible. So I'm going to take it from the Bible point of view.
About interracial marriage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You see, and I know you're a Christian too, so I'll tell you would understand it much better. You see, the Bible or God, the person that created the human race, for a particular reason, how do I put it? He made different races. And if you look at how he interacted with the Israelites, he consistently told them not to mix with other races.
Yeah, and so like,
reason,
Solomon, for example, mixed with the other women, and like thousands of them, or at least 1,000, and then he started to follow after their gods, and that really does happen, and interestingly, like among Christians. You can say that you're a Christian, and many of these Christians of color believe in this social justice Christianity, which is not Christianity. And then you get sucked into this false Christianity and false love, and it's all in the name of like diversity and interracial marriage.
Because I say to the liberals today, bearing in mind that I'm black, I tell them that if today's Christian thinks, if today's system of things, if this is how they think God is, or if they think this is how God manages his kingdom, then they're totally mistaken.
What do you mean by
what I mean is this.
You're talking about this diversity thing?
Yes.
Mixing the races is how God manages.
Can you imagine back in the days when God will come to Israel and say, do not mix with the Hittites, And
Right.
then the social justice warriors will say, no, we want to be, one people. But, there's a bigger underlying factor here, right? You see, Satan is very smart. And if you look at how the Bible has the chronology of prophecy, God says that the human race will come together and wage war on him. Basically, they'll come together with the beast. This is the beginning, because first, before this happens, the races must all, they must all agree in mind. So the globalists are bringing everything together. They want to
Right.
first break the white, what do I call it? The white hegemony. Basically, currently, when we take out the races, we can say that the white folks have been able to be the leaders because they have created all the technology and everything. Now, the globalists want to break that.
Right.
And then
They
mix
want to get
all the
rid of
races.
white people. But I'll tell you, it's. I think that the reason that I know that the reason that they're attacking the whites is just look at like the voting patterns, for example, as like an indicator. Whites generally are conservative. They're
Right.
generally more, I guess, maybe nationalistic, more basic right and wrong, cut and dried kind of. We're losing that too by far, for sure. But
you see,
whites are generally not not going along with the evil, and
But the
they
thing is-
are sliding because they're so weak. We're so weak, but it's
but
that's
the
why
funny thing is-
they're attacking the whites. It's not because they're
but
white,
it's the
and it's
white-
not even because
it's the-
they created anything. It's because
Right.
of it's because they stand in the way of the destruction.
But if you notice, it's the white people, it's the globalist white folks like the Soros and they are
Right.
the ones actually pushing this idea. They are the ones pushing the fact that they want everybody in Africa to come to the U.S. What happens is Africa would turn the U.S. the system that has helped bring up. Now, I'm not using Africa for example, but I'm just saying they want the whole world immigration to just grow. And what will happen is they would basically dilute the whole race. So no one, eventually in about 100 years, no one is going to say, oh, I'm from, so and so, I'm from this place, this is my people.
I mean, you are going to still have that, but you are going to still have that though, because nobody's doing this to China or Japan or even really Africa or anything. They're not doing it to other countries except for white countries. And they're doing it to white countries because they don't go along with their ideas. But now, I mean, more and more they do because they're brainwashing the whites.
Exactly. Because they're doing it to the white countries because it's the white countries that have like I said before, when it takes all the races. But look at the Chinese for a minute, right? Most of the technology of the Chinese, they steal from the West. Anyway,
right.
And they copy.
But they're good at
right?
it.
So it's not like
yes,
they're
true.
good at stealing it and copying it.
Right.
So what the globalists want to do is they want to break down the high level, the white folks that have been building the globe, and then basically spread out the whole system in such a way that it becomes a global. They keep talking global.
Right.
But the white folks are the ones that are fighting, basically are in their way. Once they break the backs of the white folks, that's it. I mean, they will just spread. Because think about it. Today I was listening to another radio station, and some black, Jesse, is it the pastor, the black pastor that goes about spreading hate all the time, was talking about how black people need to begin to build the.
You talking about Farrakhan?
No, not Farrakhan. The other guy who didn't pay his tax.
Sharpton.
Sharpton was talking about how the Social Security money. The black folks need to take their money out of it and invest it where the money, basically the fund managers should be black.
There's so much.
There's no way I'm going to put my money in a black fund manager's portfolio. He's going to spend it on rims.
There's so much false values and false solutions going on among all of the races. It's crazy. But
if you look at South Africa today, the white folks are being persecuted.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
But it's not just. I think it's not just. I think it's just an anti-goodness because they hate freedom. They don't like the truth. They don't like Christianity, and they don't like white people because white people tend to currently, and it's sliding, unfortunately. Hopefully, it will rebound with Trump and all that. Good examples. It will hopefully. Hold on. Whites are generally the Christians, the pro-freedom people. Invariably, like I've mentioned this with Christopher Cantwell, the alt-right guy. Whites totally support. I mean, not totally, but the majority of them support a level of freedom that is incomprehensible to liberals and to many, maybe the majority of the people of color. They don't believe in, whites believe in the freedom to discriminate, for example.
Of course.
You have a basic freedom to discriminate, and they're taking that away. And even the Supreme Court, supposedly it was a shock that in the Supreme Court, this Colorado baker could not refuse, was allowed to refuse service to the so-called gay couple. And it's not that he was allowed to refuse service, it's that the Commission on So-Called Civil Rights in Colorado accused him of being, the Supreme Court accused the Colorado Commission on Civil Rights of expressing disdain toward his religious beliefs. And so they didn't even make it according to the news, which is fake news. So it may be a big precedent. But they're claiming that it's not a precedent for, in general, people have a right to refuse service to same-sex weddings. But it's white people generally have that basic logic that you have a right to discriminate for any reason. You have a right to your private property and your private business. Refuse service for any reason. So
now I'm originally African. I called you before one time concerning Trump. I called you some time back. Now, the way I see it, and like the last time I told you, I've traveled around the world and I've lived in several places, and I've noticed how people live, the cultures, especially when you take the Western culture. When you take,
I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you about, because I didn't get to deal too much with this, and I want to. Why are white men and others committing suicide more?
I think when it comes to the suicide, I think it's because the West, or when I say the whites before the Christian value is being lost.
Yeah.
I think the Christian value is being lost. You see, because remember that the Bible says, though we live in the world, do not be of this world. A lot of the people that are going on with this suicide, like they say transgender has a lot of suicide in that environment. They actually knows why young males, why people, it gets to a certain point. But it all comes to the underlying factor that the white male is being attacked consistently. And so they first of all lose who they are. They're being told you can be whatever you want. They don't have any values when it comes to God and what it takes. I remember in Africa, let me say one of the countries in West Africa, when Obama came to Ghana at one point, he told the president that they should allow gays to be.
I remember that. Yeah.
And the people said, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Don't
even bother.
You know this Anthony Bourdain guy who committed suicide.
Right.
And there's others. There's so many high-profile suiciders. There's Anthony Bourdain. There's Chester Bennington, the Linkin Park guy. There is Chris Cornell, the Soundgarden. And these are, those two are singers, rock and roll singers, basically. Not rock and roll, but hard rock singers. And there's Kate Spade, the sister-in-law of David Spade. And there is Robin Williams. These people are all dark, miserable. Well, I don't know about Kate Spade, but I know that the two rockers were dark, miserable people. I know that Anthony Bourdain, he kind of participated in that anti-whiteness. He was like a friend. I saw on CNN some headline. He was a friend to the Hispanics or something like that, the immigrants. And because he's so into this food thing, and it's so ridiculous, this push about immigration. is
And the thing is,
we're going to lose our
Bourdain-
taco trucks. They're going to get rid of
Nobody even
the
knows.
street vendors. That's what the
nobody
liberals are
knows
literally
outside
complaining
Texas.
about. The liberals
Yeah.
are literally complaining that we're going to get rid of taco trucks and street vendors and tacos and stuff like that. There's
It's
like Trump,
crazy.
not tacos. And it's basically anti-whiteness in the name of more food variety. And it's so ridiculous.
but
But
the
anyways,
funny thing is-
Anthony
funny thing
Bourdain,
Uh-huh.
he was pushing for that type of values. And he was like,
Yeah.
it makes me very suspicious to see how he's worshipped in his death. It reminds me of like Michael Jackson, how they all of a sudden they liked him
Yeah.
so much. But I mean, Anthony
Yeah.
Bourdain wasn't reviled the way that Jackson was.
Yeah,
but
because
he was
happening-
pushing for. He was basically. I don't think that he was really for anything good. He was like a drug addict for a lot of the time, and that's why he was so skinny, I think. But
because
who else committed suicide?
Let us not
I
forget.
think I had
Let us
all
not
those.
forget that the people we see on TV, the people that the indoctrination they put on TV, and they look like they're all happy and all that. That is not life. These people,
Right.
we don't know what they do. For all we know, Anthony Bourdain has a secret in terms of some of the abominations that God hates. Because
Well,
some people think
I'll tell you what.
ever since
About Anthony Bourdain, he had already been divorced twice, most recently in 2016, and he had an 11-year-old daughter from that second divorce. And then he was with this woman, Asia Argento or something like that, and she's like quite a bit younger than him, full of tattoos, and I really doubt that they were really getting along that well.
Right.
And and also I'll tell you, the culture doesn't really even pretend to be happy anymore. It really, like I mentioned it before, it celebrates darkness and evil. You know, I gotta go,
Yeah.
Joe. I appreciate it.
all right, then. All right, you have a good one.
You too. Take care. So, church. I haven't been telling you how to get to church, but it's rebuildingtheman.com/church or Bond Rebuilding the Man. I have the link down in my description, rebuildingtheman.com/church. But I think you may even be able to see a Bond Rebuilding the Man. If you go into the eye thing up in the upper right of my video, you'll see the two things that promote the other channels, Jesse's channel and the Bond Rebuilding the Man channel. Bond Rebuilding the Man is the church with Jesse Lee Peterson in 1 hour at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. Bye, guys.